there! Welcome to Story Sell Your Brand with Gigi Barnett, where we show business owners how to do their own public relations and get their names in the media. Today, we're talking about facing fear. You know, the kind that rears its ugly head in your business or career. We're sitting down with a small business owner who unveils the story of how they got past it and made an impact. Story Sell Your Brand starts now. Hi, everybody. I'm Gigi Barnett. Welcome to Story Sell Your Brand, where we help service-based business owners and consultants do their own public relations. I'm so glad you joined us for our 5-day summit on crushing fear. We are having so much fun. All this week, we're unveiling small business owners who have faced fear in their business, in their careers, and that means in their lives. And they figured out a way to either crush it or just work around it. And we're putting this virtual summit on all of our platforms, our YouTube channel, our website, and the podcast, so it's easy for you to find and listen to. I decided to do this because starting a business after having a baby and getting married and being in television for 20 years was probably the scariest thing I have ever had to do. And you know, some days the fright is still there, but much of this summit is going to be about me learning from our participants and our speakers and you coming along for the ride. So thank you for being here. Our guest in this episode is Dr. Moe Anderson. She's also called Dr. Moe. She is a multi-published author, a licensed dentist, a business owner, and a motivational speaker. And she is the author of 6 books and hundreds of articles. While practicing dentistry full-time, raising a family, and hosting a cable television program in Arlington, Texas, she wrote a weekly lifestyle column for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram newspaper for 8 years. Let me tell you, she's not busy, right? She's so busy. Her latest release on personal development is Success is a Side Effect. It compiles the lessons learned from the highs and lows of life as a serial entrepreneur. And she also hosts a podcast called Perpetual Motion. It's available everywhere you get your podcast. And that's exactly why we wanted to include Dr. Moe into our summit, because she has so much media experience and she really knows how to get her name out there. Hey, Dr. Moe, how are you?
Hey, Gigi, I am great and very excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm glad you're here. As I mentioned, all the things that you've been, yeah, I said you're not busy. So you released a book. I want to talk about your book, Success is a Side Effect, because that was one thing that jumped out at me. Talk to me about your book and maybe how you got to the point of saying, I need to write about this.
Success is a Side Effect, personal development, personal relationships, and really a culmination of me sharing tips of a half-century of trying to make more good choices than bad choices. Because, as you know, ultimately we define success for ourselves. And if we don't, we should, or we're easily manipulated by other people. You know, if it's a person, place, or thing, the corner office, the title, the house, and you find you keep acquiring these things if you're relentlessly pursuing them, and then you get them and you don't quite feel three-dimensional. Something's still missing. And so I realized at some point that I'm happiest when I'm trying to make a difference, not trying to make a dollar.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mentor several young ladies, and common questions were coming up, common themes were coming up on whether it was relationship or personal relationships, professional relationships with your boss, things in the community. And, you know, being a writer, I thought, let me just share what I know, share the bridges I've burned, and see if I can help someone else. And a lot of it came about because of me having a chronic health condition.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Changed my mindset. I'm sorry.
No worries. Let's get into that, because I was talking with you beforehand, and you were saying, you know, here we're doing this summit on fear. And, you know, as I mentioned, the reason why I decided to do this was because I was just, you know, thinking this is scary. Just, you know, kind of not knowing what's coming and how every business is different. But you mentioned that your biggest fear, tell us the story. Where did it come from?
My biggest fear, when I grew up, and I'll just say I'm a 2-time survivor of cancer. In fact, I have a rare form of cancer, which, you know, we treat like a chronic condition, but there's really no cure for it daily. I take oral chemotherapy, a pill every day, just a little bit of poison every day, which reminds me of the battle that I'm in. I can't even forget. I don't walk away from it. I carry it around in my purse. And when I was growing up, cancer wasn't a character on TV. It's like everyone knows someone with cancer now. Everyone has someone in their family with cancer now. And that's a whole nother thing that I'd like to talk about. But it was the C word. And if you heard someone had cancer, it was just like, oh my goodness, it was the end of the world. And that's what I grew up with. So to go to the ER room 3 a.m. one night thinking I had food poisoning, and, you know, they took x-rays, and I'm like, I'm Dr. Moe. I just need some, you know, IV solutions, and I'm out of here. I got stuff to do.
Right.
And the ER doctor came back, and they say, Gigi, that, you know, everything can change in a moment. I say it can change in a word, because I remember the ER doctor saying, you have, and then it was, you have a. It was the next word that changed my life. It could have been, you have a virus, you have a baby boy, you have a new home, you just won something, but it was, you have a mass. And it was mass that turned my world upside down. And being in healthcare, my mind went to malignancy. I wish I'd been wrong, but that's what it was. And I had surgery a few days later and thought I'd come back from it. It was a major surgery. They took part of my stomach, but I rebounded to weeks physical therapy, but I came back, and 18 months later, the tumor was back and even larger. And that during that surgery, I lost my stomach, my liver, part of my liver, all of my stomach, part of my pancreas, is a whole bunch of stuff. Long story short, when something like that, when you think you've gotten it over, like I crushed that fear. Me and the big C went some rounds and I came out of it. And then 18 months later, it's like you're attacked from behind, this fist out of nowhere, knocking you off your feet again.
Yeah.
Everything I thought I knew, that any control I thought I had, any victory I thought I'd won, you know, it just upended me.
Wow. So then so at this point, that when it comes back, and it seems that when it comes back, it's worse, because
yes.
What's happening in your business? What's happening in your personal life? Or is it just a fight to live where you just put everything aside? Mentally,
emotionally, spiritually, it was devastating. It impacted my relationships. I was working in intense pain. I'm a single woman, you know, in addition to enjoying working and making a living, I have to work. I have bills, you know, I work for my money. I have some money working for me, but not enough that I can't go to work. And a lot of people face this decision. So what I had to crush was, you're never going to stop having fears. So when we say crush your fear, I want to be clear to everybody that for me, it's not that I crush something and I don't have a fear again. It's that I crushed paralyzing fear to the point that I can't go forward. So to keep my business moving forward, to keep my relationships with my family moving forward in a way that they can forget about the cancer that I cannot forget about, to keep my community projects and efforts going forward, I get up every morning fighting that fear and deciding I'm going to live and not die. I may die, but I didn't die today. And I'm going to make the best of today. And once I take that forward motion, that positive proaction, and decide that success is going to be a side effect of me putting one breath in front of the other and using every bit of energy I have to do something good, then I'm happy.
Dr. Moe, that is so powerful. The piece about the paralyzing fear, because, and I think that's might be what a lot of people are dealing with in terms of while it's not, you know, life and death. I don't want to equate it on those terms, but where it's you look at, you know, the business or even your career, what's going on, and even, you know, personally, like your marriage or even children, and you want to do something, but because you're so afraid, you know, you can't. I mean, just a little background about me, there was a time in my career where I could have moved forward and gone to a different position at a different place, or I could have stayed where I was, the place where I was in the position. And I was so afraid to move forward that that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like this, you're paralyzed.
Yes.
And I think many times business owners, we see something and it frightens us, and we think, oh, I'm going to work on it longer, or I'm a perfectionist. I'm going to make sure that it's perfect, and we don't do anything, or, oh yeah, no, I know I need to, get my name out there, or maybe do some public speaking and that, but you're so scared that it paralyzes you to the point that you don't move, that you don't go forward. Talk about that, because you it seems like you had to push yourself. No, I'm going to move.
Yes.
How did that work?
Well, I recognize, and we've all had moments like what you described, that we didn't move forward toward an opportunity because of the fear of failure, but time is going to pass anyway, and there will be failure anyway. You want to have some input into your choices. You don't want time to just pass you by. So when I think about failure, I can't accept not trying. And when I fall forward, which means that if you put your best effort into it and it's not successful, then you learn something from it. And you take that into the next experience and you share that with others, and you make lemonade out of that lemon. But time is going to pass. People are going to take advantage of opportunities. Relationships will come and go. You want to be part of that. You don't want to be on the sidelines of your life watching things happen around you. And that's what I realized was happening to me when I didn't take action, when I didn't apply, when I didn't submit my book because of fear of rejection. Other people got those opportunities. So I would rather have tried and had someone actually say no than to spend the rest of my life imagining what might have happened, because something's going to happen. Yeah. And you can be part of it or not. Yeah. And that's what, with my health, that's what I have to do. I'm not gonna lie, I can have a pity party, Anderson party of one. I schedule my nervous breakdowns. And that's part of what I recommend for people. Girl, they're going to happen. So don't let them be random. I have my nervous breakdown on Friday when I'm free. So I
love it.
I do. It's time to cry and wail and moan and listen to old Will Downing songs or whatever on Tasha Cobb's on repeat over and over. And it's cathartic. Your body needs that. So yeah. You schedule your spa time, your mani-pedi, you schedule time with your family, have a little me time where you just fall the frick apart. And
I love that, because, that falling apart happens while you're at your desk, or it happens while you're, where you don't want to be. So it's like for your this self-care, schedule your pity party. And then, once that hour is over, you say, all right, let's move on.
We are done. We are done. We have happy hour. Have your sad hour. Sad hour is over. And
how much?
We have things to do. We have to move on.
How much does that help? I mean, you learned that.
Yes.
You had to learn that because you had faced cancer.
Yes.
And you were like, okay, if I don't put this in my schedule, God only knows what's going to happen next. But for work now, can you give me some back? Were you ripping and running before? Were you not, kind of doing that self-care before?
Thank you for keeping me on track. No, ma'am, I was being Wonder Woman. I grew up with don't let them see you sweat. Don't let them see you cry. Do everything you can to come off as I am always completely in control. But then, just like being Mary Jane or any other character on TV, they always have that moment when it just comes out.
Hard, yeah.
Our bodies, emotionally, physiologically, we have to experience a range of emotions. You just cannot have that much control that you don't let yourself be vulnerable. In my case, be a girl. But the world doesn't tell us that it's okay to be soft and to let go and to just relax to the point that whatever happens, happens. And, before cancer, my body, my mind, I felt like I had a grip on it and I could hold myself at least until I got to the car or some little closet at the office. But being confronted with my mortality and having people, I lost 40 pounds, wow. Dropped 4 sizes. And it's funny, people, they hug you and there's this little pat. It's just a few seconds too long, as if they might break you. And so I just found myself constantly being emotional and trying to hold it in. And that just came to me. Everything is on my calendar except me. And that's part of my personal care now, is that I have moments, and you don't have to necessarily be crying, but just be retrospective, reflective, and allow yourself to think back on whatever broken things you want to think about and just get it out and then move on. And for me, it has been empowering. I'm not wearing my family out with the woes about my business and the, woes about the kids, the woes about the health, because that's another way I think that we exercise our need to, fall apart, for lack of a better word, is that we just keep bringing it up to people and we just keep talking about the same thing over and over, ruminating on it, instead of let's just have a dedicated time to deal with it and not wear out my bestie with the same thing that I've been talking about over and over. Yeah. And they listen so patiently, but it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you just don't kind of put those pieces together. It's just like you think of self-care as the manicure and that kind of, but self-care is the having that time, just let it, to just get it all out. So these are the lessons that you learn from that. Are there, when you meet some, I guess, a business owner or even women or even men for that matter, and you talk about your book, is it, how much of this did you pack this in your book as well, or are these just kind of gems that come out as you're talking to people?
These are things that are in my book. These are things that have been part of my speaking engagement, my motivational speaking for 3 decades. Who we are is really just a culmination of where we've been, in my opinion. So, and again, working with my mentees, who are some amazing millennials, but, I tell them things like pursue your passions, not people, because to your point, so often we want to celebrate work from home, like we're 2 different people. But typically, if you follow home an unhappy employee, you'll find a chaotic home situation, because we're not doing the Maslow's pyramid thing of taking care of our foundation, our basic needs. And so I put it all together when I'm talking about it in the book, or when I'm counseling someone, coaching someone, is that you've got to take care of you, and that your needs are met, whether communication, emotional, spiritual, and then you carry that out to work and into the community and form these relationships with these strategies. But it has to start from a common foundation of health. Right.
I often like to see what what our fears say about us, Mm-hmm. It's the fact and fiction of fear. If we know that, fear is false evidence appearing real, which is essentially an untruth, right? It's false. We can kind of look at that and say, okay, well, if I'm being lied to, that I'm an imposter, or I'm not an expert, mm-hmm. Really, the fact is probably, I know what I'm talking about. If my fear is people are going to think that I'm not, an expert,
right, then
I probably really do have something to tell them, something, to say. And so I'm curious about you. What's the fact and fiction of your fears? What are they saying to you? And then when you decipher and you realize, oh, no, that's not true. The truth is actually the reverse or the inverse of what's happening, or what's being said to me.
Well, I'll get to one that's really close to home and that's very recent, is that we have to remind ourselves not to close our hearts. Never close your heart, because the world wants us to be angry and bitter and upset and divisive. That's what we see. That's what we hear now. And what typically happens, what almost always happens when you're experiencing some success in some area, and when you start talking to people about it, like you and I, then some other area you just get attacked. You have a weakness there, whether it's from inattention or just because that's the way life is. So in my case, when we set this up, I shared with you that I was engaged. I'm 56 years old. I was married before, divorced. I was happy by myself. Mm-hmm. I got a match to go to dinner. That was it. I like going to nice dinners. That's why I was on there. I met someone. It moved really fast. We got engaged, and then, realized after some time, this is not quite right. I mean, this is raw and painful right now. And you're thinking about so much of what we do is thinking about people's impressions. Mm-hmm. What will they think? That paralyzing fear of failure is partly what will people say? What will they think? Who does she think she is? So having to do this after I brought someone into my life, into my family's life, gone to work events, and then to go back alone and ringless. And, but that's my truth, is that we came to the conclusion, this is not right for right now.
Yeah.
And I've reserved the right to be wrong, to make a new choice, a better choice. I don't have to stick in a position to make everybody else feel good.
Yeah.
It's wrong, move along. It wasn't right. We recognize that. And so right now my challenge is, and what I'll do, I'm going to walk my talk, is I'm not going to close my heart. I'm not going to say I'm not open to relationships, to meeting new people, to making friends, because this didn't go well. And frankly, the one before it didn't go well. I'm still going to move forward with openness.
Oh, that's so hard to do. That is, to say that now at this stage of, where you are in that relationship, and that it's so fresh, and so to make that commitment, and there are all kinds of fears behind that, like, oh, it's going to happen again, or I'm going to meet somebody who's not like that person, or how do you stick to that? How do you stick to that? How do you say, okay, I'm standing on this and I'm not going to move. I'm going to keep my heart open?
Because the option is not to love and not to care about people and not to grow. And I don't care for that option. I don't care for that option. I don't care for the darkness of being bitter and angry and being alone. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have my moments, but overall, I think anyone who knows you will tell you that I am an engaging person. I like people. I like growing and learning and doing new things. And I can't do that if I close off everyone. Because if you just close off, like, I'm done with men, I'm not fooling with men anymore, you may think you're hiding that, but that comes out in your attitude, in your energy, and it impacts everything else you do. So am I going to rush and get into another relationship? I'm just telling all my business. No, but am I just going to sit up at home and cry and feel sorry for myself and dog everybody? No, ma'am.
Oh my God, that is so good. So basically, what you're saying is, if you look at this fear, okay, let's say the fear is, okay, I jump back in it and I get my heart broken again, or I start this business again and it fails in my face. If that's my fear, right? You have to ask yourself, okay, if I continue with that, where is that path going to lead?
Exactly.
Right? And then you see the end of that path and you say to yourself, is that what you want?
Right.
And then you say, no. So then at that point, okay, I can't continue to believe this fear. I can't continue to be okay with this fear.
Absolutely, because that path only goes one way, that negativity closed off path. But when you open yourself to option, open yourself to failure, and if I fail, I'm going to fall forward, use the lessons learned to, as Henry Ford said, more intelligently begin again, then there are options and there are alternates and there are other routes, and two roads diverge in a wood, and you can take the one less traveled by, and that may make all the difference.
Wow. I mean, and this is how, I guess, we use fear, to motivate us.
To propel us. It can paralyze or propel. You choose whichever one you feed. That's what happens.
Dr. Moe, I'm going to end it right there because that's perfect. You're going to be propelled or paralyzed by this fear, and here's the other thing, is that something is going to happen.
Something's going to happen. Bingo. And
so you want to be on that propelling path.
Absolutely.
That I'm going to turn to the audience here because that's exactly what we are showing people at Story Sell Your Brand. And that's exactly why we decided to do this summit, because we're seeing so many new consultations of people who we talk to. They're just afraid to do TV. They're afraid to do radio. They're afraid to get their business and their brand in the media. And, that's understandable. I get it. Public speaking is the #1 fear in the U.S. still, behind fear of heights and behind snakes. But yeah, in that order, it's public speaking, fear of heights, and critters, snakes. Wow. But if you use that, if you say, okay, something's going to happen, somebody's going to get this media coverage. Why not? It should be me. Somebody's going to be, the producers are looking for this person to be on their show. It should be me. An editor is looking for somebody to be in this column. It should be me. But I mean, we've seen people who are able to take that and that fear and use it to propel them forward, because really the only way you get around it, that fear of public speaking, is to do it. Yeah, just do it. Do it. All the time they have all these excuses. Oh no, I don't like the way I sound. I don't like the way I look. I'm gonna mess up this media interview. The imposter syndrome sets in, where they say, oh, people are gonna look at me and they're gonna laugh, or they're gonna think I'm not the expert that they really are. And okay, but if you use that fear, just think about where that path is going to lead. It's going to lead with you not getting the visibility, the credibility, the trust, the likability for your business that and I know it deserves.
Absolutely.
So if this is you, if you want to see more media exposure for your business, for your brand, that kind of visibility that will move you down that road, will propel you, we want to talk to you at Story Sell Your Brand. Right now, for the next 2 weeks, our calendar is open for free consultations. If you head over to storysellyourbrand.com and you book a chat with us, we're going to talk to you about getting that media plan. We're going to talk to you about your visibility goals and the right plan for you so that you can move down that path. Dr. Moe, I said this is going to be about me learning and then the audience coming along for the ride. And the things that I want to write down now and go put in the books because of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gigi. It's been wonderful.
So if folks want to reach out to you, if they say, hey, we want her to come and speak, or if they want to work with you, how can they get in contact with you?
They can reach out and touch me at drmoeanderson.com. Remember to put an E after the O. I'm on social media at Dr. Moe Anderson. I'm easy to find. I would love to come and speak to your group, motivational workshops, corporate, civic, your church, assuming, you want to bring me in.
Let me tell you.
I don't want to mess that up. drmoeanderson.com, and it's delightful. I love what you're doing. You're helping people. You're making a difference, and it's just amazing. Continued success to you.
Thank you. Thank you. The feeling is totally mutual. And to you who are listening, thank you also for joining us here at Story Sell Your Brand. Remember, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on your notifications so you can get fresh new posts from us every week. And if you want to chat about your media plan, our calendars are waiting for you. Head over to storysellyourbrand.com and we'll see you there. Bye-bye.